Hi everyone, today I will be showing you how to use the PlayVision overlay controller. Now for the purposes of this guide, I've created a demo OBS setup very similar to a real scenario, including graphics and backgrounds within OBS. Now first, let's begin by looking at the header within the overlay controller, which is this bottom panel right here. On the left side, we have our different settings indicators, our color palette, announcement, countdown, team scores, and stopwatch. We'll go over these individually later. On the right side, we first have a connection indicator and the name of our stream, sync and reset button, remote mode button, and save values button. Now before we can go ahead and do anything, we need to ensure that we are connected to one of our streams, which should have been provided to you. If you are not, don't worry. Just enter in the correct stream name and press on sync or reset values. Anytime you want to erase your changes, simply press the sync and reset values button and it'll go back to how it is set up. In terms of remote mode, this is a setting that most people will never use. However, in the case that you want to control your OBS overlays from a different computer than the one you are using, you can enable remote mode and then type in the database that you want to use on a different PlayVision setup computer. Save values, as is quite self-explanatory, saves whatever changes we have made. Now then, let's first begin by taking a look at the color palette. This is the base for all the visuals that you see within the team scores section, as well as the different colors. Here, we can enter all our individual schools, and we can add new ones, as well as change the existing logos assigned to each school, colors, and upload new files and logos to assign to schools. As you can see here, we already have set up schools with corresponding main and primary colors, as well as their logo and assigned. In case you want to delete an image, you can simply press the delete image button, and in case you want to delete an entire school, you can simply press the delete school button. Just make sure that after every change, no matter what you do, click the save values button. Now, in case you want to create a new school, just enter the acronym, such as for example FIS or SGSM, and press the plus button. This will create a new instance. This will create us a new instance of primary secondary colors and an image selector. If we want, we would now be able to input our primary and secondary colors for whatever school we are creating. We could go ahead, upload the school's logo, and then pick it out here from the drop-down. For now, I'll delete the school since I don't want to use it. There we go. It's that simple. Now, once you have all your schools set up, you can continue to use the other parts of your overlay. For example, let's take a look at the announcement. Simple but useful. This section, an overlay, is able to show anything you want on the screen, within either the top left or the bottom left corner. It's as simple as entering the contents that you want to be displayed on the screen, entering the position from the drop-down, and then clicking Show Announcements. After you've done all that, just make sure to again click Save Values. I'm going to go ahead and hide the announcement again. And as you can see from our previews, the announcement is gone. Important to keep in mind is that these previews are not in real time. Due to limitations within OBS itself, they only run at a few frames per second. However, that doesn't mean that OBS is going any slower. These images are there purely to provide an idea of what your OBS scenes look like. Now, if you haven't looked at the OBS control panel tutorial yet, I would recommend starting with that before going on to the overlay section. Our next part is the countdown overlay, as you can see here on the right in my program. This has mainly 5 different parts. First is the event title. As you can see here, it's set to Varsity Boys Basketball right now. However, you can set it to whatever you want it to be. Then the event subtitle, which is just under the title. Here it is FIS versus BIS, but you can put in again whatever you want. The same goes for next event, which is this red section right here. If you're running a program such as track and field, you can put in whichever event is happening next. However, if you're just hosting a simple game, you can always put starting soon. In terms of the starting time, all you have to do is enter within 24-hour format when your event will start. It is currently 9:44, so I'm going to go ahead and say that this game will start at 10 o'clock. And I want the theme color, which will be this outline here and this gradient here, to be assigned to MIS secondary. And again, I'll go ahead and click Save Values. Now that that's updated, we can see the countdown happening and our colors have changed to how we want them to be. Next section is the team scores, perhaps the most important and the part that your viewers will see the most often. As such, it has by far the most elements out of any single section in this panel. Now, first, we can select and enter our side names. Now, you can either enter these as acronyms or you can enter them as full names. However, you should most of the time use acronyms. The reason for that is that if you enter acronyms, you can then select match on the theme selection. And once you click Save Values, it'll assign the theme to automatically be whatever you have put in as the name. So let's say I wanted to do FIS versus MIS. I could put in FIS, click Save Values, and as you can see, the theme was automatically matched. Our scoring overlay goes away, updates to be FIS versus MIS with the corresponding colors and logos, and then shows back up again. However, you are always free to put in whatever names you want. For example, I can put in Munich, disable matching, and select MIS manually, and again, save values. And this will update our overlay to be more fitting. Here, we can also increase or decrease our fouls and timeouts, something that's useful for a sport like basketball. Again, just make sure that after every time you do, you click Save, and then our values are automatically saved to the overlay. You can also always change the name of the event. For example, let's say I want to do varsity basketball boys. Once I've saved that, this little section within the overlay goes down, shows back up again with the new name. Now, as you can see, we have these fouls and timeout sections. However, let's say you are not live streaming basketball. You can always hide these basketball stats by deselecting the basketball stats checkbox and clicking Save Values. This takes the basketball statistics away. But let's say you don't even want the countdown to be on there. You can do that by deselecting the bottom bar, which takes away the stopwatch on the bottom of the score overlay. For now, I'll put it all back up. However, if you want the scoring to go away completely without changing scenes in OBS, you can always deselect scores and save your values. For example, if you have a timeout within a game and you don't want the scores to be over everyone's faces. Now, also important is these plus and minus buttons, and these are of course to change scores. We can either do that by clicking the up and down arrows, entering the value manually, or by using these values right here. Now, these buttons are the few exceptions within the overlay where you do not need to click Save Values after using it. As you can see, if I press +3, my overlay will automatically update without the need to save values. And this is so that you can quickly add or change scores in a game without the need to click Save Values every single time. Now lastly, as I've already mentioned, there is this stopwatch or countdown aspect at the bottom. Now, this has its own section within the overlay, and it's complicated more than other parts. So let's look at how it works. First, we have to put in the current game time. We can also always reset that to 0, and as you can see, our overlay has been reset to 0. If we want to start the stopwatch, all we have to do is click Start, and again, one of the few states where you do not need to click Save Values. However, if you want, it is still recommended to press that, as it will remember your choices for if the app crashes and you have to restart your live stream. Again, we can always click Stop to stop our countdown, or if we want to reset our countdown while it's running, we can also do that and it'll keep on going by itself. However, let's say we want to enter our countdown manually. We can also always do that. So let's say I want to begin from 20 minutes onward. Just enter in 20 minutes, 0 seconds, and however milliseconds you want, and then quickly just press start and stop right away. And as you can see, our overlay has updated and we just have a few milliseconds extra. However, you cannot see that on the overlay. Now, while it's useful to count up in a lot of sports, in some sports you might want to count down. For that, all you have to do is select the count down button, click on save values, and press start stopwatch. And there you go. It's counting down instead of up now. Now, it's also very oftentimes useful for the stopwatch to stop by itself. Let's say we're streaming soccer and we want to stop at the 45th minute. For the purposes of the demonstration, I will put in 45th minute and 15 seconds, and I'll keep countdown on. Now, in the period interval, we can put in however many seconds we want to stop at. So 45 minutes in seconds is 2700 minutes. So let's enter that in. And again, click Save Values. Now when we go ahead and start the stopwatch, once it'll reach 45 minutes, the stopwatch will automatically stop itself and it will not go on until you press start again. This is useful in case you do not want to supervise the stopwatch at all times. And there we go. It has stopped at exactly 45 minutes. You can see that again on the overlay. Also important for some sports is the period marker. Let's say you have halves or quarters or thirds within your sport. You can enter whatever section you are in, press save, and it'll update the little statistics next to the time. However, if your sport doesn't have quarters or sections, you can always put in time and it'll be a placeholder within the overlay. And there we go. This is how you use the PlayVision overlay control panel. For other guides and how to use PlayVision, check out our tutorials on PlayVision Live's YouTube channel.